All right. Peace, 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 family. I just want to say thank you to everybody who is here. For all those that are newcomers, I really appreciate your presence and you being here. It really means a whole lot. And with that being said, would you please be able to hit that like, that subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you can be forewarned of all the upcoming content. Okay. For all those who've been rocking with me for a minute, I truly appreciate you. Your dedication and your loyalty really means so much to me. And I truly respect that so much. So, today, we are talking about the importance of human design complemented with astrology. This is a major topic for me. I am so intrigued into this, and I am a super novice. And guess what? I have a subject matter expert, a beautiful one at that, who's going to tell us so much about what we can learn through human design about ourselves, about others, about relationships, and just pure alignment about how we can navigate ourselves a lot more appropriately, knowing more about our human design integrated with astrology. Now, I'll give you a little backstory. This is such a wonderful and beautiful woman. Let me let y'all know. She's
Oh, thank you.
talented. She is intellectual. She is well rounded. Human design and astrology is just crumbs of her loaf. She knows so much. And I am so excited to have her presence here and her just even accepting my invite. You know, it really means a whole lot to me. Thank you so much for your presence here. You are amazing. Thank you. I just wanted to introduce you and just let people know how amazing and phenomenal you are. For real.
Thank
Um,
you so much.
no worries, no worries at all. You deserve that plus so much more, So yeah, introduce yourself, what you got going on, and just everything that you just embody, man. She's a queen, guys. She's a whole queen out here. So y'all
It
give
takes
respect
a queen
to
to
do.
see a queen, right?
Gratitude, gratitude.
Yes. So I am Mimea. You can call me Wami, Mommy. All of those things work. But yes, I am a human design coach, a psychedelic informed coach. I am a master astrologer. A little bit about me. I actually started studying astrology first. I started studying astrology a couple of years ago. Little backstory about me: I'm a nurse. I've been a nurse for 13 years. I'm a registered nurse. I got I became a nurse really early. I was like 21 years old, basically right out of high school. Went right into the workforce. I got married, had kids, and got right into life. And it was a lot. And I got divorced, and then I got into another relationship, and I was just moving through the motions, and I was like internally really like killing myself. And I got to a point where I was ready to just not exist here on this planet like anymore. It was just so much I was doing, and I was doing it from a space that was not, I wasn't living my design. I wasn't being true to myself because I didn't even know who that woman was. So after a lot of turmoil, a lot of internal pain, I remember YouTube, I stumbled upon tarot. And tarot was like, and I'm like watching these videos and they're speaking to this astrology thing. And I'm like, this is weird. Okay, whatever. It kind of makes sense. And I later I know why, but I'm the one who will deep dive into information. And so I'm like, let me look this astrology thing up. I deep dive into that. Then that takes me to meet more people who I go through a spiritual program. And then that takes me into astrology courses. And I end up going all the way into this, dive into astrology, and it changes my life because I've always been called an emotional person. And I'm thinking, something wrong with me. I was on medication at one point. Why am I so emotional? Why do I feel so much? Why am I not like everyone else? I thought I had chemical imbalance. Like I really thought I had some chemical imbalance that was keeping me more emotional than the rest of humanity. And so I'm going through all this and I'm learning my astrology and I'm like, wow, this astrology is telling me why I'm so emotional. And that in fact, this is not an issue. This is a superpower. You know, emotions is water. Water is intuition. I am, and sometimes I'm most psychic. I have prophetic dreams. These are things that happen due to the emotion in my chart, in my body, in my soul. And so I had to discover that. And so astrology taught me that first. And through that, and through the spiritual program I went through, I got introduced to human design. And at first, I'm like, "What is this chart? I don't know what this is." Great, whatever. Okay, do a little reading here and there. I joined another advanced astrology course, and they take human design to the next level. And then I deep dive. And so, long story short, I've been reading between astrology and human design for like the last couple of years, and I've learned that for a long, long time, in the majority of my life, I've been living against my design, and been met with much resistance and not enough ease. And so, as I started to incorporate some of the practices being taught through astrology and human design, I've created ease and spaces in my body. I've created ease and spaces in my life. I have understanding of myself and those around me. You know, spaces I was not in, I had no access to prior to learning this information. So I am a huge advocate of this system, and I strongly suggest that before anybody say no, it's not for me, approach it. See if that's for you. Can you understand it? It changes lives. It really does. So that's my basic.
That is powerful.
Thank you.
I don't even know where to start. It's like, for real, it is so robust and it is so informative because you know how many people are walking around out here who do not know themselves, have no
Yes.
clue. You know what I mean? They know so much about celebrities, they know so much about everybody else's business, but have no clue to who they are. And
Mm-hmm.
they're literally navigating out here blind. So by you even having the respect for yourself to take that step back and figure out who you were in application to life allowed you to figure out, you know what I used to think was working against me is actually my superpower.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it gets no more powerful than that.
Yes.
Period. You know what I mean? And I think I was mentioning this yesterday to one of my sisters. I used to think me being too kind and too nice was a liability, like it was working against
Mm-hmm.
myself, you know, um, because I would like almost bend over backwards for almost anybody. You know what I'm saying? I give them the shirt off of my back. I'll do good deeds till no end, like it, and I wouldn't want no motive recognition. That's not why I'm doing it. It just
Mm-hmm.
that's my heart. That's how I am. But then at the end of the day, how did I feel? Depleted. I felt, like I was operating in a void. I didn't have enough time for myself because I was too busy to dedicate myself to everybody else. So I was drained when I got home, just tired. And I had to really figure out like everything that I was contributing to everybody else, I needed to contribute to myself. And that in retrospect to what you said is my superpower. So I had to
Yeah.
start utilizing it for me. So just that mindset and have that applicable to knowing my human design, baby, you're gonna see me walking around here with a cape. You hear me?
Yeah.
I'm gonna be
Aspect
flying.
like learning your astrology and then learning that human design aspect. Like I said, it's really life changing. Like just to be able to like understand yourself to a point like somebody can point something out to you and it's like you understand exactly why that exists inside of you.
Right.
That's something, like someone can call me emotional and before where that felt like a trigger space or someone it felt like a trauma response, and now I can say, oh no, I am with confidence, and I can
Correct.
back that up with the well, this is why, not that I need to explain myself, but even beyond, this is why, this is the benefit of being in this space, this is the benefit of being an emotionally driven being.
Mm-hmm.
It's the awareness and recognition.
Right.
Like that's really the game changer. You know what I'm saying? Awareness, the recognition, and then what am I doing with it? Now that I know it's a superpower, what am I doing with it? How am I using it? Because I can't just let it sit, just crying.
Mm-hmm.
What am I doing with this?
Correct. That's real. And it's kind of like you're a feeler. Like you're like a feeler and a healer when you go out to into like various spaces. I can definitely resonate with that. Like um when I'm in a room with a lot of people, I feel a lot. I can feel what's coming off of conversations. Like is I have the ability to like tunnel vision into certain conversations, knowing what's going on, just feeling that room. If I feel like I can't be there and it's too overwhelming, I have to go. I have to release myself from that space and just go detox immediately because it's like I'm so introverted and I love to be to myself. When I do go out into spaces where there's a multitude of energies, I have to channel myself appropriately so that I'm more in the mode of observing and not absorbing, because I used to be a huge absorber, you know what I'm saying? Like, and I used to wonder why I used to feel like crazy when I used to come from the club because I used to go to the club back in the days. And you know what I'm saying?
I love this. I can't wait to talk about this. Go ahead, because I have so
So when I come from the club, I always used to feel mad drained. I wasn't drinking, I wasn't smoking, I wouldn't do nothing. I just felt like, what is going on? I need to take like the longest shower of life, drink some tea or something to get me.
Yes.
Before I knew like what I was like, you know what I'm saying, like composed of, you know. So yeah, go ahead, girl.
Yeah, I love when the conversation naturally leads into these things, because it's funny how our bodies and our souls naturally know the things that we need to do. Like you say, you go drink tea or you go take a shower because that water is really what you need. But it's
Mm-hmm.
funny to say that you can't go to the club because you say you're an absorber, right? Well, you
Yeah.
have, speaking human design language, 5 open centers. And then one of the centers that you have open is your solar plexus center, which is, if you don't mind me speaking about your chart.
Yes,
Yes.
let's do it. She's speaking about my chart, you guys. So all
It's
right.
your solar plexus center, which is your emotional center. So this is what we call, people are always like, I'm an empath, and they have defined emotional centers. And while you might feel things, you have an open emotional center. When your center is open, you are a receiver of energy. So with an open emotional center, you're receiving. So when you're in that club, you're a wide open door for all of the energy, all of the emotional energy running in. So the people who are in there smiling, but they're really depressed, you're feeling it. The people
Right.
who are in there, you know, excited, it's like, I got a lot of energy, you're feeling it. So you are filtering through all of these spaces. The people, you have an open crown. The people who are thinking all these thoughts, you're receiving it. So you're receiving a lot of this energy, especially when you're speaking from an emotional space with an open emotional center. You're going to be the recipient of some of that energy. So that's why you say, when you can feel everybody's emotions, you truly can. You know, somebody's like, you can't feel it. No, you really can, because you're the receiver. And that gets to a space where you have to identify what's yours and what's not. What's your emotion and what's not your emotion. That's when it's time to take that pause and step back and say, like, what is actually mine here? You know, with an open emotional center, those are things you have to be careful with. But but yeah, that's one component. But yeah, as a generator, even still, you have to define to define uh physical center, 4 motors. Out of the 4 motors, you have 2 defined motors. So yeah, you, even with that, you're going to have an amount of energy to expel. You're a generator, which means any generator has a defined sacral. Your sacral is where all of the energy comes from. So most of us who have, I'm a manifesting generator, but those of us who have defined sacrals, we are the worker bees of the world. We are the ones that, a manifestor can have the idea, a projector can guide you to it, but a generator guide you through the process. But a generator and a manifesting generator is going to do the work to make sure it's executed. We do the work. We are the ones who have the energy. We are the ones who can carry these things out. In a foot race, we gonna win. You know, a manifestor might keep up in the beginning because they got a lightning bolt of energy, but it depletes fast. Projectors can't keep up. Generators and manifesting generators, we carry the energy in the world. We are literally like the fuel of the world, because we are the fuel centers. We are the ones that move.
That is so interesting, because this was another conversation, like you're just pulling so much out of me right now. It was another conversation that I had with one of my sisters. Her name is Candace. And she said it's a lot of times when she will start a task, but she won't finish it. And a lot of times we'll get, like we'll tear ourselves up and get beat up on ourselves because we don't finish the task. But sometimes we have to take that task or whatever it is to a certain place for somebody else to carry it, to carry the torch. You know what I mean? Because that's their job. Your job was to initiate whatever that was. And then once you have initiated it appropriately, then that's when you pass the baton. And that is appropriate delegation. And that is something that I know that I had trouble with, because sometimes I would feel like, dang, I need to go ahead and finish that. Why I ain't finished that yet? Oh man, beating up on myself. Like, why are you procrastinating? But it's just in me to not finish it. It's for somebody else, So,
This
man.
this is true. This is when you get to talking about human design is really good when we're talking about career and entrepreneurship and things too. That's one of my favorite spaces to put it in. Partnerships and things too. But when we speak to it from a relation space, like I said, astrology really teaches you who you are on the inside, on the internal level. It teaches you your makeup. This is who you are on a soul level. This is what you came here to do. These are the energies and the characteristics you came here to exhibit. This is the power you came to shine with. And then human design takes that, because it's based a lot in astrology and a few other things, but it takes that and said, now that you have this internal knowing, this is how you relate to everybody else. This is how you relate to the world. This is how you work with others. And so, speaking to what you said, we talking about your friend. I don't know her information, but with that type of energy, that can be something that is one of the characteristics of a manifester. Whereas you're a generator, a manifester is somebody who's going to be, they're the light bulb. The light bulb goes off and they have this grand idea, and in the beginning they have so much energy towards it, and it's like it drops. And it's because that's not their task to carry it through. They are the initiators. They start the things. And then generators and manifesting generators, we tend to carry it out. And so this is when, like, when it comes to people, and everybody's moving into entrepreneurship and things nowadays, right? And the thing of importance is a system like this, to me, is I'll give you this disclaimer. I don't partnership in dating or in business without a human design and astrology chart anymore. I just don't, because you need to know your role. You know,
Absolutely.
you need to know your role. So if we're coming together in business, because the way human design works, it creates channels based upon gates that are located in the centers. So if we share certain channels, that means something. Like if we share a channel that is indicative of making money, I know this might be a good partnership. But if we share an emotional channel, you might be somebody who might help me break through some emotional barriers, or you might bring something out of me that, so this is something that I should know. You know what I'm saying? This is something that I need to know moving forward. And it's nice to, because what you have, especially you speak to romantic partnership, be it astrology or whatever, you have these relationships with people, but you've not looked at any charts. You have not run any synastry. You haven't looked at any relation between the two of you. And I get it. You just, you out here, you live your experience. But when you can look at that synastry together and say, this is why I affect you. This is where we have a hard aspect. This is where we have a square in our communication. So I go in knowing communication might be difficult. So why can't I put an expectation upon you that I know laid out right here is going to be a challenge?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So these tools are here. You know, they always say, well, you didn't get it. We didn't get a map to this life. But we did kind of get a guide. We just didn't know how to use it.
Right. Wow. That is amazing. That allows you to know a person so much more, instead of you always feeling like you want a pop-up surprise situation with a person, especially if you're getting romantically involved or
Yes.
something of that nature. It's like you want to know so you can better prepare yourself, so that
Yeah.
life isn't haphazardly just happening to you and you wondering why you looking like boo boo fool at the end of the day. Y'all never was compatible. You know what I mean?
Listen, let me tell you something. That's what I'm gonna be honest with you. Learning astrology was solely because I was in a bad relationship, and I used it to learn the astrology. I used the comparison. It taught me so much, and I saw it. I went through all these things, and then I saw it on paper. I saw it as a picture. It was depicted on this thing. I couldn't miss it. I could not understand it because I looked at it. You know, I'm a very visual learner, and I'm looking at this paper, and I'm like, I studied it, and then it made sense, and then it helped me release spaces of guilt or depression or sadness based upon it not working or me feeling a certain way. Well, I saw this thing here that told me this is what was supposed to happen.
Mm,
You
mm.
know, so it gives you a sense of healing even in those spaces. So these awarenesses for me, and this is why I teach it the way I do, or to the people that I do, because it's healing.
Right. It is. You just stated previously in your opener, you was like you were working against yourself the whole time. You didn't even know it. You had no idea. But then when you figured out your human design, and you
Mm-hmm.
are a master astrologer right now, so it's like you learn your past, you engulfed in your future, and you it's like you able to get that full picture of,
Mm-hmm.
what the future is. I said that wrong. You knew your past,
Mm-hmm.
you hear with your present, but now you can see the full picture of your future. Excuse me, guys, I have to auto correct myself. But that is like the whole, that's what I call a masterpiece in
Yeah.
my eyes, because you're not separating yourself from the things that happened in the past and beating yourself up about it. You are showing up and you're present in the right now of who you are, and you are acceptable of that.
Mm-hmm.
But then in the future is very promising to you, because you already know how to navigate, because you breaking it down, you know what I'm saying, from an astrological standpoint of view and from human design, to further depict what is necessary for you to thrive and what you need to just stay away from. And I appreciate that. Another thing that I want to get into: wrapping my hair, wrapping my head, wrapping up my crown. y'all see that her crown is beautifully wrapped right now. And I know I wrap myself up a lot of times when I know I need to be protected, like just protecting my crown, protecting my sacred space, and things of that nature. Now, would you be able to dive into like if there's something that you see within your human design that you should protect yourself from, how you can incorporate wrapping your head wrapping for further protection?
So what I can say, there's not like anywhere where you can read like a direct correlation between it, but I'll say this: if you have an open crown, you're more susceptible to receiving information energy that way. So naturally, open crown people are going to be the ones to receive. So if you're in a space where you don't want to receive those things, in a spiritual, from a spiritual sense, and a spiritual standpoint, absolutely, you know, excuse me, wrap your crown. You know what I'm saying? I wrap mine just because sometimes aesthetically I like it, and
Mm-hmm.
because I feel I don't have an open crown. I have a defined crown, which means I'm oftentimes the person to put the energy out. But if you know you're going into an environment where you're susceptible to some pretty negative energy, negative thoughts, negative thought processes from people, then that's a space, especially as I would do that anyway, but especially as an open crown person, I would most definitely do that.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
You're just tapping into so much right now. For real, it's like I don't even know where. Let's go. So, from an astrological standpoint of view, for a lot of individuals who are just, you know what I'm saying, stuck on their sun sign, would you be able to elaborate why it's not just a sun sign that you should focus on, but it's the whole gamut? Can you just tap into that and tell us the importance of that so we can
So,
understand ourselves more?
yes, this is what I can say about that. Your sun sign is beautiful. It gives us a kind of an idea of who we are. It's our illuminator. It's the energy, we possess as it's where we shine. However, it's a small part of who you are on a large level. It's like, it's a small part of a big piece, and so when we speak to astrology, you have 12, you have a lot, but on a basic natal chart, natal reading, you have 12 different planets or 12 different placements. So you have placements that are really indicative of your money. You have planets, or placements that are indicative of your love life, that are indicative of, your parents, your children. It's a lot there. So to say, oh, I'm a Virgo, which I am a Virgo. Now I can be a Virgo as the sun sign, right? And so my Virgo sun sign says I'm very analytical, I'm very focused, I'm driven, I love to work, I love to serve. Sure. But then I can say I also have uh um uh, uh, being a Virgo might be a little reserved. And I can say, well, I have a Sagittarius stellium, meaning I'm very expansive. I love to go, I love to be free. And that's like, well, that's not a Virgo. Why you so out there? You have no boundaries. You just do. You go, you're always traveling. That's not Virgo. Like, we have a Virgo sun sign, but a stellium implies that I have multiple placements in that sign. So I can very well exhibit much more energy in that sign than I do in just the one sun sign placement. Doesn't mean you don't exhibit that energy, but it means you have a lot of that other sign's energy as well. So having a full understanding, especially, this is the one thing I say. People will say, "Well, I'm a Libra and I'm compatible. I'm compatible with an Aries." That's like saying I'm a girl and I'm compatible with a boy. That means nothing almost. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's so surface, because we speak into relationships and love. What kind of Venus signs have you looked at? What kind of seventh house energy have you looked at? What kind of aspects do you have, and how are you affecting each other? So when you talk about compatibility in that space, it's a full gambit. You're looking at a whole chart. That whole chart is your entire story. You start from house 1, you go through to house 12, and you read everything inside of the book. That's how it is. You start on page 1, house 1, you read all the way to page 12, and you read everything on every planet, everything on each one of those pages, and it gives you a full story about who you are. I came here as this person to do this work, to relate to these people this way, to love this way, to make money this way, to shine this way, to have a career in this. It gives you a story about this person, this human avatar body. Who is this person? How will this person come through in this lifetime? And so you have to understand that on a soul level. What kind of past life, energy do you have? What kind of scars did you come here with? What kind of lessons are you going to learn this time? What could
So,
potentially happen to you? Some of us have, for instance, example wise, characteristics that might indicate like domestic violence.
mm,
Imagine having a child where they have that in their chart, And it doesn't mean you have to tell them that, but it means that if that happens, you now have prepared yourself. I know, for me, my child has an indicator that might indicate maybe miscarriages or trouble having children. One of my children has that nurse, so I now know. So I naturally just speak to her like, just casually in conversation. Sometimes like, aunts are bomb. Sometimes you could just be aunt. You don't have to be a mom. Just randomly. She doesn't know, but I want her to have a whole life, because if she ever encounters that, I don't want her to feel less than a woman. So I want her to know you're a woman no matter what. You don't have to have babies. You can have babies. Casual conversation. She doesn't know why I'm doing it. But I know that if she ever encounters that space, it's her 10 years of it's okay to not have children. So, yeah, this is where these type of things are like so important and so helpful.
It is. And you really touched on a piece, and it's kind of like we were in alignment, because that was going to be my next topic. How you can better know your children through human design, especially if you have multiple children and all of their personalities are completely different and you're just trying to figure them out. You can figure out your human design versus the compatibility of theirs, so you can better articulate yourself and get through to them, because how you talk to one may not get through as seamlessly as if you were to talk to the other. And that may be frustrating for you, but if you were to tap into human design and tap into astrologically who you are, who they are, and see the similarities and the differences and the compatibilities and things of that nature, then you can better engage with them and talk to them. It's just exactly what you just said. You gave a perfect example. That is
Yeah.
amazing.
That's one of the things that I focus on. Like I spoke to you a little bit beforehand. My sole purpose, because I know my astrology, is to be here to work with women. I am here to specifically, and I work with men too. But from in a personal space, I'm really here to work with women. And the thing is, I've identified this, and I say this a lot of times, that people don't acknowledge something called parenting trauma. That's something we don't really acknowledge as a hashtag or a thing, because we assume that just because we're parents, there is no trauma associated to it, or we're not able to acknowledge that. We're not able to use our voice about what parenting trauma looks like. Well, sometimes there's a trauma associated to being a parent, because it's a self-sacrificial thing. We tend to sacrifice who we are or what our life looks like for that child, and then it builds an entire space of resentment, or who knows, or that child might not be what we think they should be, because we don't know them. We don't know their design. So one of my biggest things I do is something called parenting by design. I'm forming something where I'm working with women at birth to pull charts so that you know your child at birth. You have an understanding of who that child could be at birth and how they live the experiment out, because human design is an experiment. Astrology is, what it is, but how they live that out is up to them. But you have a guide now. And so, yeah, I have 3 children. I don't parent. Like my oldest and my youngest are kind of opposites. One is very reserved, very scorpionic and Virgo into himself. And then I have one that's like a Pisces stellium, and she's just a flowing amount of water and just emotion. And I can't talk to her how I talk to him, you know. And so understanding who your child is, because even that's from an astrology perspective. From a human design perspective, I had someone, I don't understand, my kid is lazy. Well, that person, the parent, was a manifesting generator. So she has an immense amount of energy. She's an entrepreneur. She's ready to move. She's always doing. And she's trying to get her daughter a business. Well, the child was a projector. She needs she needs rest. She can't function like you function. It's not that she's lazy. Her processor doesn't understand the way you move, because hers is not designed to move like that.
Correct.
So that
Wow.
caused a lot of friction between it. I was arguing, why are you not doing this? Why are you not doing this? And the little girl does not know how to express, because I'm tired. Because I don't have it in me right now. Because my processor is not receiving what you're giving as something that I need to be doing. So, it's so many ways to shift that. Just imagine your child not forming a trauma space based upon the parenting that was done, just because you understood them better.
A lot of times that's what a lot of people, including myself, we have a tendency to do, is we expect ourselves out of other people.
Mm-hmm.
And we get really
Yeah.
disappointed, because we really think everybody is operating like us, and when we see the catch sight of them not operating like us, then what we want to do, we were trying to control the situation, trying to correct it, trying to make it, you know what I'm saying, something that it's not supposed to be. But when you understand this concept, it allows you to know, like, you can't be projecting you onto somebody else. You got to figure out who they are and then just adjust. And this is not saying like trying to change somebody or make them something that they not, but you got to cater yourself accordingly to those that are around you, especially if you love them, your loved ones, and your, you know what I'm saying, your family and stuff like that. Girl, you talking some stuff today, honey.
Yeah, man. The beauty of this thing is, like, they call human design an experiment. It's not concrete law. When Rob wrote this, he wrote it as an experiment. Um, you there are people who have read and studied these things and don't follow every single little detail, but the beauty of it is like a guide. It's such a beautiful guide. It's such a beautiful guide just to kind of give you an understanding. Like, once you understand yourself, like, I always invite people to, when we talk about human design, one of the first things, I'm just opening my computer because I can look at your chart.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the first things we talk about is, what is your authority? Because if you're not living, when I say live your design, one of the biggest things you should live is your authority. That's like your decision-making process. How should you respond, or how should you act? And for you, you're a sacred authority. So you might know this, you get a literal gut feeling about something. As a kid, you might have been one of because sacred, defined, sacred authority beings use it, like, they use that noise. That does it, like, turn you on, like the idea of somebody like ask you to do something, how do you respond right away? Do you feel in your gut? What do you feel? Do you feel like yeah, like,
Yeah.
you might
Yeah.
answer, your spouse or your friends, like, you want to go here?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That's really what you want to do, or and so you should follow that. That is your appropriate response. And I always invite people, it's an experiment, try it out. You don't follow it. When I first discovered this, I have an emotional authority. Mine says I should wait to respond, and what I should do is actually probably sleep on it. I was operating in a space where I'm like, I just, oh yeah, it feels. I think I should do it right now. Like, right away, I'm making decisions. I was making bad decisions. I was waking up the next day regretting and dreading everything I had to do. I was agreeing to things I should not have agreed to. I was saying no to things I should have. Like, dang, I probably should have done that. I was ruining opportunities. I was ruining relationship. Things weren't really working out.
Mm-hmm.
And I learned this, and I'm like, let me sleep on it. And I remember one of the first times I really did it, I was about to say something. I was like, I'm going to wait. And the next day, I had an entirely different thoughts, an entirely different feeling, actually, because this is our second brain.
Yep.
I had an entirely different feeling. And I knew, okay, this might work. I might like this. And I started to respond in relationships that way. And that was when I saw the big shifts, because I was very reactive. And I was right at the, and it wasn't always. And I'm later like, probably shouldn't have did that. Let me
Mm-hmm.
let me sleep. Let me think. Let me feel that. Let me let that feel through my body first.
Right.
And
Wow.
this is when it comes to really knowing your authority, knowing your design, and seeing how the experiment works for you.
That is amazing. That is amazing. What I wanted to go into a little bit is, you know how they say, okay, well, he's an alpha male and he's a beta male. She's an alpha female. He's a beta female. But truth be told, like, why should it even be, a separation? Or you should feel like, okay, that alpha male is more superior or more dominant, and then the beta male is not. But the thing is, their design is
Mm-hmm.
probably not meant for them to take that alpha role. Maybe they're not supposed to take the beta role. You get what I mean? But it's like so much of a divide, and people want to pin people against each other because of how they naturally are. But
Mm-hmm.
allow them to operate into their own being and be who they need to be without the outside noise and ridicule. So could you touch on that a little bit?
So this is what I'll say about that. I try not to get into that man woman discussion too much, because
I got you.
like a lot of that is opinionated. It's an opinion based conversation, because what somebody considers an alpha, somebody might consider a beta, because some people may consider an alpha based on emotional maturity, or emotional awareness, or emotional availability. Some people say because you're so emotionally in tune and aware, and open, you're such an alpha, you're so in tune with yourself. And some people consider an alpha somebody who's very driven, very focused, works really hard, doesn't tap into that emotion, is a go-getter. So to say who's an alpha and a beta, that's very individual based. So
Right.
when people get into those spaces, this is what I can say about that. You can't expect somebody to be something that they're not designed to be. Now they can try. Now will they execute well? Not. Will they become exhausted and burn out? Probably so. In your design, if you're a projector trying to live as a generator, you're going to burn out very fast, and you're going to feel an instant bitterness to yourself. It's like, I didn't do what I was supposed to do. I haven't executed these tasks. Well, that's because you're living your life against your design. So if you're here to be as a male more watery because you have a chart full of water, and then they like, well, you're a beta. Well, that's the design of that human this time.
Yeah.
Who knows what he incarnated as before? That's what he came here to incarnate. He came here to exhibit watery energy. I don't know. I can't, this is not, and then again, this is my opinion too.
Correct.
What I do know is people can't really truly live against their design. They can try. But if you have those characteristics present, at some point they'll come out.
That's real.
So,
Yep.
yeah.
You can't live against your design because you're going to face a lot of adversity. You wonder why life has just been just full of turmoil and chaos and adversity, is because you've been just living against yourself this whole time. And I think that's what a lot of social media can contribute towards. It has a lot of people operating outside of themselves because it's that comparison contrast mindset and that social engineering to have people not be who they truly are and not to know themselves. You're
Mm-hmm.
looking at these infinite amounts of still pictures, these mini clips, but you don't know what happened prior to the picture being taken. You do not know what situation they was in prior to the video even being done or even after. And
Mm-hmm.
you admiring this person and their situation and things of that nature. I wish I could be like this. I want to do that. I admire
Mm-hmm.
this. That's not you. It's not you. You know what I'm saying? It got a lot of carbon copies out here. Like, you're not you. Stop being artificial. Just be you. Figure you out. And human design and astrology is a perfect portal and gateway in order for you to figure you out. If you don't know, you don't even know where to start.
Absolutely. I'll say that. Like, it's funny you keep saying not being yourself, because one of the things that we call the energy you exhibit when you don't live in your design is called your not self. That's literally what it's called. Your not self is you living against your design, and then the energy you bring through there. And so as a not self, like for you, when you're not trusting that gut, you probably feel so frustrated because that's your not self. It's frustration as a generator. When you're not responding the right way, you feel frustration.
Absolutely.
That's your not self. So that's a nice way to gauge, am I living in my design or not? How do I feel? I feel frustrated. Then the answer is no. It's that simple. The answer is no. Or do you feel very satisfied? Like, oh, I feel good. Like I made that decision. I did. I feel really good. I feel nice and satisfied. Boom. You're living in yourself. You're not
Mm,
self. You're living in your design.
mm.
It's simple. It's human design is, I love science.
Me too.
Beautiful. It's a beautiful breakdown in the scientific level. Astrology can be very spiritual,
Hmm.
right? Very spiritual person. There's it's a beautiful connection between the science and the spirit. These are
Okay.
very much so, it's the same things. If you really, in my personal opinion, really get into those things, you really can't have spirit without science, or science without spirit.
Hmm.
That's what this is. But it's such a scientific breakdown of what it's like to relate to people. It's very mathematical, even. It's very calculated. It's very intense, but
Yeah.
it's helpful.
I love that you say that because that's how I initially felt about when I first endeavored into astrology. I was
Hmm.
like, oh yeah, this is spirit and science all the way together. Like, this is the beautiful
Beautiful.
balance. You know what I mean? Like,
Hmm.
it because I love science too. I was a biology major, so
Me too. Yeah.
you see, like, it's just so
Yeah.
intriguing to be like, I don't know. It just does something for me. So I really love tapping into stuff, especially things that I don't know, but I know things that are beneficial for me. And I just really hope that this arena is beneficial for so many others out there. I don't want nobody out here navigating blindly if they don't have to. And if we have the resources out here, we must tap in. And I will be sure to leave all of her information down into the description box so that you guys can definitely take advantage of her services, because you see how she's articulating this subject like effortlessly. that being said, you should know that she is good at what she do. She's a subject matter expert, and she will not steer you in the wrong direction. She's just gonna give it to you straight, because everything that she said about me has been very true. Absolutely true. This gut has to let me know something. That's my beacon, for real. And can you touch on really quick when you stated that this is actually your second brain?
Yeah, because your brain is like a processor. It's informative, but it's not. It's informative, and it does inform you. But that's just what it's here to do. It's not your decision making processor. That's not what it's here to do. Your sacral center for you, your sacral authority. That's your decision making processor. That's where those decisions come from. Your crown is receiving information. It's processing. It's breaking down. That's good, but this is not where it comes from, because this is even just for me from like a spiritual standpoint, this is the scientific. This is your brain. It's your second brain. Your sacral, that's your first brain. That's what you listen to. Because what happens here, we get ideas in here, and then we get fear. Fear lives in here. Until you have thought, doubt in those things. Those things are all, you get idea behind idea behind idea, and you process through it so much. What was the original? You don't even know. Your sacral center, that gut feeling for you, yeah, that was it. That was naturally exactly where you were supposed to go for that decision making.
Mm. And now that you say that, I fast a lot,
Okay.
so that I can get a clear picture on certain things, certain decisions, certain events, and it's like when I do fast, I feel like I am the best conduit of information, decision making, and things of that nature. Because it's like I don't have anything interfering with my natural status. Like I'm not sitting out here telling people that, hey, don't be eating, starve. That's not what I'm trying to say. But
Yeah.
what I am saying is that I know that I have a clearer picture when I'm in fasting mode,
Mm-hmm.
period. That's just the way it is. But it speaks a lot to when you say, like, I'm operating in my sacral a lot. And I really do, because if I don't like it, if I'm not feeling it, baby, I'm not gonna be there. And if it's something that I'm really passionate about, I'm so energetic and driven, I'm gone, you know? And I'm glad that you broke that down, and that's like a confirmation for me, because sometimes I'm torn between stuff. If you want to go to the sun sign, yes, I am a Libra. So at times I may be torn between two
Yeah.
decisions. I'm really indecisive, but my gut will let me know, like, hey, this is what you need to do. Even though my mind be like, you know what? Why should we do this? You shouldn't do it. They don't even know you. Why go out and do it? But my gut, like, you better go ahead and do it. I don't care if it's a stranger or not. You better do it. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm gonna offer you this too before we end.
Yes.
Something important as a generator. The one thing you have to make sure that you're doing, because you have energy. Remember, I said you're the fuel, right? As a generator,
Mhm.
that fuel doesn't work if you're not fulfilled in it. It doesn't matter how bad somebody says you should do it. If it doesn't bring you fulfillment, it's not for you.
Gotcha.
It's just not. You have to feel fulfilled in what you do, because while if you as a generator find something that you are so passionate about, when you do it, you feel fulfillment. You could do it for the rest of your life nonstop, and it will never burn you out. But if you do something that says this is good for you, it's gonna make you a lot of money, but it's not what fulfills you, you don't really like it, you're gonna get to day 2 or day 3, day 4, and be like, I'm so tired of doing this. Why am I so tired of doing this? I love bike riding. I can ride bikes all day, but I don't like rollerblading. But they say I got to rollerblade to participate in this race, so I'm gonna do it. I can ride bikes for 17 hours, but I can't make it an hour on these blades, because it's
Wow.
not what fulfills me. That's not what I'm supposed to be doing. So that's
Wow.
one thing. That's something as a generator you have to assess. Does it bring me fulfillment?
Wow.
I had to learn that. I don't. I walked basically away from career, college, a lot of things, because recently, actually, because I'm teaching human design now. But if I'm not living in myself, how can I preach this? And
Right.
grad school, to be honest, was not bringing me fulfillment. It's not
Mm.
something I wanted to do anymore. I started it years ago before I discovered any of this. So I had to make a decision. And the other thing for you is your definition. You have a split definition. One of the things to know about that is what, like you said, you have these thoughts, but one of the key points in that is the best way you can kind of do something is like you can have a conversation with somebody else is good when you want to talk something through. Their words really don't matter so much, but it's being able to have a conversation with somebody that's going to help you make a decision or help you, work through something. It's just being able to talk to somebody. It doesn't mean that they're going to give you the answer necessarily, but you need to be able to talk to them.
Gotcha.
You
Wow.
might find times where I'm like, I really just want to talk to somebody about this. That's
Wow.
cool. That's okay. Do that because you have a split definition.
Wow.
Absolutely do that. You're probably gonna get the answer from yourself. But
Yeah.
talking with them is gonna bring the answer out.
Because I need that energy at that time in order for me to confirm whatever I'm thinking.
Confirm or deny or whatever, but it just brings like, yeah, like it bring like in response like engaging with that other person is gonna
Mhm.
bring out what you need and for yourself. Yep.
Wow. I appreciate this. Thank you so
Yes.
much, sis. You're such a beautiful beacon of light. I
Thank
just want to
you.
let you know that you are on your path, and I can definitely feel that. Like, you just radiate excellency on every level. Don't let nobody stop. Don't let nobody put nothing, no blockages in your way.
Yeah.
And if they do, you're gonna plow right through them because you're a divine queen, and I appreciate you. Don't let nobody tell you nothing different, Mom, because you are amazing. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you.
you
Thank you.
so much. Thank you for just sharing this space with me, enlightening us, and just being on this platform. You are truly respected and appreciated. And I have to take this time right now while we're still breathing the same air for me to give you your flowers because it's definitely overdue. These are for you, definitely
Thank
for
you
sure.
so much. I receive those so wholeheartedly. And like I said, I'm so grateful for you because this is new for me. Just putting myself out here, coming out and being exposed and being seen like this is new for me. But at the same time, I love it. And I love being able to do this because I only have one goal. I found a purpose and I stick to it. I don't go far outside of it. Like I said, I'm here to help the women. I'm here to help them live their design because truly and wholeheartedly as women, we are the carriers of life and not just babies of all things. And if we're not together, if we're not whole humans, if we're not whole people, it doesn't work.
Right.
So, I'm here to really just to the woman that I seen in myself, I see in her, and I want to help her because somebody should help her because I needed help. And all the tools that I use to bring myself from suicide to here is
Mm,
what I want to do.
absolutely.
So
Man, gratitude to you, Queen.
thank
You are
you.
a whole empress out here. You are amazing. You're beautiful. You're a goddess. I'm telling you. Don't let nobody tell you nothing different because this is facts, yo. These are so many facts. But thank you so much. I respect your time. I respect you being here, and I respect who you are. I love who you were. I appreciate and admire who you are, and I'm so excited for who you are to become because you're absolutely phenomenal. For real. This is
Thank you.
on
Thank
everything
you.
I love and believe in. Thank you guys for coming out and sharing this space with us and putting in these high vibratory frequencies. I truly appreciate it. Y'all stay tuned for any upcoming content because it has to be a part two, Ma. It has to be like
Of
it's
course.
we're gonna have to do a part two to this. But thank you again. Thanks everybody, and y'all just take care of yourselves and peace.
Peace.
There.